How are y'all doing today? Today's topic is God is calling you for the win. You have been through some trials and tribulations that have to come to an end, but here's the problem. In order for these trials and tribulations to come to an end, you have to do your part. Here's what people don't understand. God may not tell you everything you need to do because it could be the most obvious thing, like walking, jogging, eating healthier, reading your Bible, cutting out drugs, controlling your lust, learning how to manage your money, holding back on how much you eat, not going out to parties, things of that nature. Your body is literally your temple. Your body is a representation of you, meaning this: if you can't even keep your body in shape, you definitely can't keep your life in shape. Remember, your mouth and your mind are powerful, and if you can't control your mouth, you can't control your mind. So, here's the point of that script, right? The trials and tribulations you are going through have to end at some point. They have to end at some point. They can't continue. Well, they don't have to continue. But here's the issue. In order for them not to continue, you have to do your part on your side. So if you know one of the things you have to do could be, or one of the things I named, like jogging, going out for a walk, working on your health, eating the right things. It could be anything. Controlling your lust, controlling your temptation, cutting out drugs. It could be anything. Because a lot of those things you don't actually need. Some of those things are distractions. Not a lot of those things are things that you need. There are a lot of things that are going on in this world that are wrong, that are cruel, that are not necessarily, right, and a lot of people are going through certain things. But you know what you have to realize? Nobody's coming to save you. Because even if somebody was coming to save you, you at some point still have to end up doing your part. Nobody can do your job for you all the time. It gets to a point where people get tired and they're done telling you what to do, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna just leave them alone. And you may not want that, because you may look at it as like, I'm just asking for your help so I can get better. Why don't you want me to get better? No, they want you to get better, but they want you to get better on your own. You have to learn discipline. Discipline and momentum, they go way farther than motivation could ever take you. And that's one thing you have to realize. Motivation is a good thing when you use it for the right things, but the problem is motivation is temporary. Motivation does not continue to last. Motivation is temporary. It ends at some point, while your momentum and discipline stay. Because when that motivation leaves, that momentum and that discipline come in at some point. So there are certain things that, unless you change, will never change. So if you don't change your eating habits, if you don't change certain things in your life that you're not supposed to do, certain things that you're continuously reminded about. And I'm not talking about the good things. I'm talking about the bad things, the things that are harming your life. If you are not making a change to make it better, then that's your fault. You can't blame anybody else but yourself. Even if it's somebody else's fault, you still have the mouth and the mind to say, you know what, I don't want to take this anymore. You can say that, and you know that? You can control what happens in your life. Whether or not somebody else was the cause of something, it's up to you to continue living the way you lived because of that specific person. You don't have to live a certain way. We've been taught, depending on our families, where we grew up, how we grew up, we've been basically forced to think that those are the only ways that, we can live, or those are the only ways we have to live. And no. It's wrong at the end of the day. I get it. Trust me. I get it 1,000%. I understand. But at the end of the day, if I'm being quite honest with you, you can change your life. I'll give you an example. This year, I don't know the exact number, but I did see something regarding the exact number of people. But this year has basically been one of the years where entrepreneurship is the most popular business space. I'll say it like that, right? Lots of new millionaires, lots of new billionaires. Just this year, 2026. We're in the We're in the 5th month of the year, and over, I think, what was it? Over 10,000 people. I'll keep it like that. Because if I say over something, it could be any number, right? Over 10,000 people have became millionaires just this year. Just this year. And over 600 people have became billionaires just this year. Young people starting from 13 years old, well, really 12, but starting from 12 years old all the way to, if we're talking about younger people, about 35. These people have became millionaires and billionaires all this year. From 12 years old to 35 years old. And no, this is not a message to the 12-year-olds to say, no, you need to find a way to become. No, come on. I'm not that type of guy, right? But if you are, I wouldn't force y'all neither. But it depends on your brain capacity, right? It depends on your age. But once you hit 16 years old, you should at least figure out what you're good at, what you're interested in, and things you've already done that you need to improve on. Those are the 3 things that you should be focused on. I had to update the list because it makes more sense that way. By the time you hit 16 years old, you should be at least focused on those 3 things. By the time you hit 17, you need to be working some type of 9 to 5 something. 17 years old. About to turn 18, you need to save your money. So by the time you hit 17 years old, you need to be saving your money. You need to work a job. It could be part-time. It could be full-time. It could be a summer job. You know what I'm saying? It could be anything. It could be, door-to-door sales, invested in stocks, trading, things of that nature. Do those things, right? And if you're a parent and you have kids, right, that are on the younger side, like 10, 12, right? Make them some type of parentally, how can I say it? Parentally guided account, or your own account that they can access, where you put, let's say, $5 to $10 of your paycheck into a stock every time, every paycheck, right? Let's say you get paid every 2 weeks, every week, right? Every 2 weeks or every week, put $5 to $10 in that stock for that kid, right? You could invest into stocks. The easiest, right? Cash App. And like I said on another video, I think PayPal is doing it as well. But Cash App, right? Put $5 to $10 into a specific stock that you want to invest in. I have videos that tell you, on my YouTube shorts, which specific stocks to invest into. There's a stock that I am sure you will get your money and your return back on. That stock name is Nvidia. And what you do basically is, you just put money into the stock and then you let it grow. So every week or every 2 weeks, whenever you get your paycheck, even if you get it every month, $5 to $10 in there for your kid, just let it grow. And the most reliable stock, as I said, is Nvidia. Sometimes Tesla, but Tesla is funny, so Nvidia, yes. You need to be focused on the video. So put $5 to $10 in the video every time every paycheck, right? And then over the years, whenever your child is ready to, like, whenever you feel like your child is really developing, their mind is developing, and and you want to reward them, or you feel like they're ready, right? Then you give them that money. Not all of it, but time, day by day, whenever you get the chance. That's the point of it, right? So that when you feel like they're responsible enough to handle certain amounts of money, you give them that money, whether it is to save or to spend. You don't got to give it all, but at least give them something. All right. Yes, back to the point. You could be anything you want to be as long as you put your mind to being that thing. You want to be an entrepreneur? You want to be an entrepreneur? You want to create your own business? You want to make your own money? You can do it. Invest into stocks, day trade, door-to-door sales, summer jobs, wash people's car, walk people's dogs, take out people's garbage. People pay people to take out, people pay people to take their garbage out. Depending on your age, babysit people's kids. Like, you talking about like from like a good 18 to 20 something years old if you feel comfortable. Babysit people's kids. Wash people's dishes. Offer to wash people's dishes. People pay for stuff like that. Snow, you get a lot of snow during the year. Offer to shovel people's driveways. If that's your thing. But you don't have to do everything. There's certain things that you can just do. You can do anything you put your mind to. So whatever you want to do that. Sometimes y'all are too worried about what people think. Stop worrying about what people think. Why worry about what people think when you could be a billionaire? Why would a billionaire be worried about what a poor person is thinking and they got the money? How do you think they got the money? From the poor people. So that's how the government works. They get the money from the poor people. They tax the poor people. They can tax the rich people, but the rich people know how to get around the taxes. That's why the poor people stay poor, because they don't know how to do taxes the right way. Y'all didn't think about this stuff. That's why a lot of the time I know a lot of people say stuff like, oh, they're just a kid. Oh yeah, they're just 16. It's pretty early. They should at least learn certain things. They don't got to do everything, but at least teach them certain things so that they know for the future. Billionaires avoid taxes by paying taxes. But y'all wouldn't understand what I'm talking about unless you knew the step-by-step process. And you don't know that because you don't want to know that, because you think your predicament has to be your predicament. You think, oh yeah, well, I have to work this job. Stop saying that stuff. You don't have to work any job. That doesn't mean that, oh yeah, well, I could just sit around and make no money. No, what that means is you could be anything you put your mind to being. If you want to be an astronaut, you could be an astronaut. It don't matter. A lot of people say that to make fun of it and to be funny, but I'm dead serious. You could be anything you want to be. Stop limiting yourself to one thing. And like I said, if you can't control your mouth, you can't control your mind. If you can't control the words you say, you can't control up here. If you can't control what you eat, can't control up here. You can't control how much you eat, can't control up here. So remember that. So at the end of the day, like I said, you can be anything you want to be. There are 15-year-old millionaires, 12-year-old millionaires, 25-year-old millionaires, 22-year-old millionaires. And as I said, this is not to go and talk to the kids and say, oh yeah, well, you're 12 years old, you should be. No. 12 years old, enjoy your life. From 12 to about a good, well, Have as much fun in your life as you want until you realize it's time to work. So when you start to realize things are getting real out here and it's not time to play no games, change your perspective. But as of right now, if you can, find every way you can to enjoy your life. That doesn't mean mess around in serious situations. That means when you find a place in your life where it's like, okay, I can have fun here, I can have fun here, I can have fun here. Have your fun. Just know when it's time to be serious. That don't mean, being serious in every situation, but learn how to space it out. It's not for the 12-year-olds, like I said, but I'm saying, once you enjoy your life until you realize this is the time to make change. So you have fun until you can have fun, but know when to lock in. That's all I'm saying. I'll see you guys in another video.